everybody, this is the Sliders Review. I'm here today to talk about Black History Month. The month that is a celebration of my people, because I am a black man and everything. And it's about all our accomplishments, all the oppression that we have gone through over like centuries of living in like America and stuff like that. And even till this day, we are still being oppressed. And so I'm here today to talk to you about certain characters or TV shows or episodes that revolve around Black History Month that I personally enjoy. So I'm here today to talk to you about The Secret Diary of Desmond Pfeiffer. Episode 1, A.O.L. Abe Online. Now, this is not the original pilot of the show. This was actually, they had to rework their show around because of controversy surrounding this show. The original actual pilot was actually the 5th episode, but it was never aired. Now, I know what you're thinking to yourself. I've never even heard of this show that came on UPN. And many people who have will know of its controversy. See, this show came out on UPN. UPN had a bunch of comedies, and they decided to revolve it around this show and this particular character. And this show was so controversial that people wanted it canceled before the actual show aired. And nobody had never even watched it, and they just wanted it like canned and everything. And that's because this show is very controversial. Like very controversial. But it's a hilarious show. It just people judged this show before it even came out. And so because of that, people didn't understand what the show was really about. And many never will. Now, this show has been uploaded on YouTube. And I remember watching this show when it first came out because I was like a huge UPN fan. Even though UPN wasn't that great and a lot of their shows struggled, I was still like a fan just like watching it. They had a bunch of shows. Some were good, some were bad. And so, yeah, it was like a struggling network for a good while. Then it became very good. And then it started struggling again. It became the CW. And so, like, I know what you're asking yourself, well, why was this show controversial? Why did people misjudge it? Well, this show fell under the same curse of another show called Insatiable. With Insatiable, people saw the trailer of a big girl who was getting made fun of and didn't like being big. And then something happened to her where she was, I think, like unconscious or something like that, and had to be put on like a liquid diet. And then after that, a couple of months, she became like really skinny. And then she saw herself hot for the first time. And so then like all this good stuff started happening to her because of her slim body. And that show was controversial before it even came out because people of the big community felt like, oh, you're trying to say big's not beautiful and you can only be happy when you're skinny and this and that. And so people assumed it was going to be like big people bashing throughout the entire series. What people didn't, so they tried to get the show canceled before it even came out on Netflix. What people didn't understand is that nobody's made fun of big people in that show. I watched both 2 seasons, and the only time somebody ever does make fun of her because of her weight is in that first episode, and that's just it. Everything after that, nobody brings up like big people bashing like again. And so it was a misconception people had. Now the show Insatiable was terrible just for the sake of being terrible. It had bad writing, it had bad acting. Well, not everybody was a bad actor, but some people were. And it just had a lot of bad topics that they tried to explore. And it was a very controversial show for completely other different reasons, not because of the whole big thing. And so, like, that's the problem that this Desmond Pfeiffer show has. See, the black community, my community, they want no part of this show when they came out, when they saw the trailer. And the reason for that is because It's a comedy sitcom that revolves around a black slave who was like the butler to Abraham Lincoln. They saw the trailer, heard what it's about, and they said, nope, not for me. And so they didn't watch it. I watched it. And it was pretty hilarious and stuff. And so, because see, they assumed that this show was gonna be making fun of slavery and black culture and stuff like that, but it never did. That's the thing. Like, if you watch this pilot, you will see who they make fun of. They don't make fun of black people. They don't make fun of the main character, Desmond Pfeiffer. Who do they make fun of? White people. Throughout the show, that's all they made fun of. Desmond is a very intelligent man, and he is also a bit of a schemer. And in this pilot episode, he finds this type of like valuable, like jewel type thing that he is looking for. And like I said before, even though he is a slave, he is a very intelligent man. And you gotta remember around the Abe Lincoln time, that's around time that he freed slaves and stuff like that. But yeah, Desmond Pfeiffer is like I said before, a very intelligent man. They never make fun of him in this show. They don't make fun of black people. They constantly make fun of the white characters on the show. The white characters are portrayed as like stupid, as dumb, as like goofy, as like have a screw loose and everything. And if the black community would have known that, this show probably would have lasted for a good while and stuff. and thing. And so because of that and low ratings, it was one of those shows that UPN was just too afraid to continue with. And so I urge people to watch the pilot and watch because it's pretty hilarious and stuff. But yeah, so let's get into what this like episode is like about. It's one of those forgotten TV series, especially on UPN. And it's just kind of like the moral lesson is don't judge a book by its cover. Because you never know what it's going to be about. I mean, take this other show, The Man in the High Castle. That has to do with like what if um the world lost the war to Nazi Germany, and it showed what the world would be like. It's terrible, it's grim, it's depressing, but it's a great show. It has to deal with the multiverse and everything. And every season is great except for like the last one. And this show was controversial before it came out on Amazon Prime because they advertised it with the Nazi symbol on like a bus stop and everything. And this offended people. And I don't know why the world they would advertise it like that, but I guess they wanted to make a buzz. And so Amazon Prime stuck with it, and it became one of their most popular shows that lasted for about, 3 or 4 seasons, I think. And so it's like, yeah, if people would have judged that by its cover, that show would have never like continued. And it is one like trust me, it's a good show with twists and turns like all around, and it does deal with the multiverse. So there are alternate like universes, and there are people traveling back and forth and stuff. So now let's get to this show. This show never makes fun of black people. Desmond is actually a very intelligent man, and not only is he a very intelligent man, he schemes a lot. In the original pilot episode that never got aired, he schemed to get his way back to England because he had enough of America. In the episode I'm about to talk about, he finds a very priceless jewel ring left by Thomas Jefferson, and when it gets taken from him, he schemes to get it back. Now, this show actually does make fun of people, just not black people. It makes fun of white people. Throughout this entire episode, you will see white people get hammered on big time. They're made to look like dumb, stupid country bumpkin type people. And nobody knew that at the time because people was like, oh, this show's too controversial. We can't watch this show. And so you shouldn't really judge a book by its cover. It's just like the whole insatiable thing. And it's kind of like sometimes you just have to see things for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And this, like I said before, this is on no, it is on YouTube, so you can watch this episode. I don't know if any other episodes on YouTube. I haven't went that far yet, but yeah, it's just kind of like it's funny. Like this show probably could have lasted for a good long time, but because of the controversy and low ratings, they had to like axe it. Only probably about 4 episodes got aired out of the 9 that they had planned and stuff. And even the original pilot never aired on TV because UPN got scared and everything. And it's quite a shame because it stars I think his name is Chai McBridge, and he's very hilarious in this show. And it's quite like just a shame because it's really hilarious and everything. And I know when some people saw this and with the whole Black History Month like banner that I have, people are probably like, why are you talking about this show? Well, because chances are you probably never watched it and it's a forgotten show and it's pretty hilarious and people need to stop judging this show. I mean, if people are willing to watch like Roots and Dango Unchained, then why not this? So in this show, Desmond is like writing in his diary and stuff, and he's talking about how he found some type of like, well, Niblet, his manservant, which is just like this goofy headed white dude, is talking about how he found like some type of like paper that talked about like Thomas Jefferson's like prized possession hidden somewhere in like the White House. And so him and Niblet are trying to figure out like where it is. And so because Niblet I think found like the diary or something like that of Thomas Jefferson. And so they're trying to find like where he could have hidden whatever this priceless item is, right? And so I think he tells like Niblet like retrace your steps and all this, but Niblet keeps touching like the stove, the hot stove for some reason. And he not only does it once, but he does it twice. And then he's all like, you have to count your paces and all this other stuff. So Niblet's trying to count, but Niblet cannot count and stuff. And so when they hear noise coming, it's like they hear what's her name, Abraham Lincoln's wife. And so he tells Niblet to hide the I think like the map or whatever in like his hiding place. But Niblet decides to go into the wall, pull out a brick, and like he finds like other stuff. And Desmond's kind of like, what is that? He's all like, well, it's where I found the map at and all this other stuff. So Niblet actually found the hiding place of Thomas Jefferson. It's this really unique looking box. And so Desmond tells him, you have to like use precise, like gentle hands to like, open this thing. And when he can't figure out, he tells him to give him a brick. But this is when Abe's wife comes in. And so when she comes in with Abe, she is frustrated, let's just say, because Abe has not been sticking it to her lately. And the reason for that is because the Civil War is going on. But Mrs. Lincoln, she is very selfish and want only her needs attended to. And so, like, as they leave, Desmond finally busts opens the box with the brick and he finds this very gorgeous like ring and everything. And so I think he says he thinks he can use it to buy his way back to England. And so, but then of course, Mrs. Abe comes back in and she sees the ring and she wants it. So of course, she's not going to allow a black man to have it. And so now he's like, crap, now I got to figure a way how to steal it from like her and stuff. Well, there's some stuff with Ulysses S. Grant. He's acting dumb and stupid, and I don't want to get into him. And then back to stuff in the White House. So like, as him and Niblet are trying to like figure out how they're gonna like steal the ring back, they overhear like a bunch of like tapping. It is Abe. He's on God. What's that device called? Where they send Morse code? With the tap 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 tap, like that one of those machines. And so Desmond, being the smart man that he is, he knows Morse code, and he's realizing something. Whatever Abe is sending is very raunchy. So they go in, and Abe is basically sex chatting, old school wise, because this is why it's called AOL, Abe Online and stuff. Basically, he's frustrated too, but he doesn't want his wife, and so he's talking to a woman via Morse code, kind of like online, having like a sex chat and everything. Oh Lord. So, Mrs. Lincoln, she kind of suspects something. So she decides that she's gonna fire Abe's like hot assistant, and instead get him one that's like overweight. And there's even like for some, even Desmond's just not even turned on by her and stuff. Yeah, it makes fun of big people. This was the '90s, sadly. And that sucks and everything. So over on the Confederate side, Stonewall Jackson is basically talking about like surrendering and trying to end the war. So his people are tapping into the telegram system of the White House, and they can't really get through because they say like Abraham Lincoln is always on that thing. So when they are finally able to like get through it, they receive or they hack into the message talking about like I'll be giving you a licking. They mistake that for like getting beat up and everything. So they're furious and they don't want to like end the war, and they continue. During this whole time, he's constantly getting measured and refitted for different uniforms to the point where he has this bizarre looking outfit on. So in a way, over in the White House, Niblet is trying to get the ring back from Mary Lincoln, and so she's taking a bath, but she has it on her toe, and so he's like rappelling down Mission Impossible style, right? But he can't get it. So in a way, with Lincoln, he has bandages wrapped around his hand because when he was having like sex chat and everything, he knocked over a kerosene lamp and it burnt his hands. So now he wants Desmond to start doing his like sex chat stuff, which he does not want to do, but he is forced to do it nevertheless. So in a way, Abe is all like, it's the big night. Like he wants to go just like meet his woman and everything, and he wants Desmond to come with him. And so when Desmond does that, Abe is very nervous and doesn't necessarily want to go through it because he's all like, "What if I get hit with a big like sex scandal and everything?" This is reference to Bill Clinton, and so like he's supposed to wear like a pink carnation on him so he knows who like the woman is and she knows who he is. But he gives it to Desmond and he heads into like another room to go do something. Well, it turns out it's Mary Lincoln who is the other woman on the telegraph machine. And when she sees Desmond, she's all like, "Oh, I knew it was you." And she's like fantasized about this and everything. Well, in a way, he doesn't want no part of her. But then Abe comes back. They realize the mishap that happened and realize those two really do love each other. And so, like, so back on the Confederate side, Lord have mercy. So they're still hacking the system, and they talking about I'm not even gonna say it. It's too raunchy even for me. But it's a hilarious moment. You have to listen to it for yourself. So, anyways, Abe and Mary are like doing it, and the ring falls off, and then somebody finds it. It's Niblet under the bed, or I think it's Niblet, or maybe it's somebody else. And so Desmond's upset he can't get the ring, and he said he hopes that whoever finds it can put it to good use. Then we get a flash forward scene with Hillary Clinton talking about she just found something that can help pay for Bill's legal fees. And Bill's all like, "Hillary, don't come in the room." Oh, God. This show was just hilarious. This show was just like insane. And I really wish it could have lasted longer and people didn't misjudge it. And you're not supposed to judge things by cover, which is something synonymous with the black culture because people misjudge us when they see us. When they see us dressed a certain way, they assume we're thugs. When they hear us listen to certain type of music, they assume we're like bad people knocking over like stores and stuff like that, when they see us with certain hairstyles, they assume we're smoking weed and something with patchouli oil and crap like that. And and it's quite a shame. And then, of course, not to mention 400 years of slavery. Like, other races are starting to experience what like black people went through when it comes to that of white people, but a lot of them were never made into slaves. However, they were made into slaves in other countries. Like, I just found out that Chinese people had it rough in America when they first came here, and Chinese people, when they thought they was coming to America, they were sent to Cuba, and the Cubans made them into slaves. And apparently there was like over 10,000 Chinese people, mostly men, over in Cuba. Now there's only about like 125 people. And it's just like insane. Like, you don't hear about this in history, which I will be talking about more when I do the rundown review of the show called Warrior. My God, I could not believe what happened in American history. They don't want to teach you that stuff in school because they're too ashamed and everything. But yeah, check this show out on YouTube. It is hilarious. And like I said before, they don't even make fun of black people. And that's something the black community was afraid of, and it never happened and stuff. Happy Black History Month, everybody. I'll talk to you later. Bye.